From the Newstalk ZB newsroom, this is Newsfix.
In this update, the Immigration Minister says changes to the accredited employer worker visa are to get us up to speed with similar countries. A suite of changes has been announced today to ensure New Zealand's attracting the skills it needs and help manage numbers and pressures of core infrastructure. This includes a minimum skills threshold for most migrant worker jobs and an English language requirement. Erica Stanford says the requirement's essential to protect migrants from exploitation.
And also health and safety at work as well. If you're coming in to be a bus driver, for example, you need to be able to read the signs in front of you. So I think it's perfectly reasonable.
Police are investigating after a rock thrown through the front window of a bus in Mearney and Napier narrowly missed the driver. The bus with teenagers on board was hit on Friday afternoon. Some social work students are going without meals and skipping GP appointments. Auckland University research of 346 social work students shows a third had experienced moderate financial hardship. For nearly 7%, it was severe. It found hardship is mainly caused by students needing to complete hours of unpaid placements. Study lead Professor Liz Beddoe says placements can be upwards of 12 weeks long.
On top of a full-time unpaid placement, they might be working 20, 30 hours in part-time work, so often not getting weekends.
Ukraine is urging Western allies to supply aid after a Russian attack on Kharkiv killed 7 and injured 11. President Volodymyr Zelensky warns Ukraine is experiencing shortages of troops, weapons and ammunition. A $60 billion loan for aid is currently being held up in Congress by Republican opposition. CNN correspondent Colonel Cedric Layton says the shortages will be difficult for Ukraine to overcome if it does not get this aid.
We have to see whether or not Congress actually steps up to the plate and does what it needs to do in order to protect our vital strategic interests, which actually are in Ukraine at this point.
That's news. In sport, the All Blacks and Black Ferns Rugby Sevens teams will meet a familiar foe in the semi-finals of the latest World Series event in Hong Kong. Australia awaits both sides after the men won their quarter-final against Fiji and the women comfortably beat Canada. All Blacks Sevens forward Tone Ing-Shu is pumped for a trans-Tasman battle.
Big brother versus little brother. Let's get it, ready to go.
The men play at 6:06, following the women's tussle coming up at 5:17. Max Verstappen will be looking to bounce back from a disastrous trip down under when he lines up at the latest Formula One event in Japan. The Red Bull driver did not finish in Melbourne, but will start the Suzuka event from pole position. Verstappen says he'll need to be a lot better to fend off any pressure from other drivers. The race is just getting underway. That's sport. I'm Joe Gilfillan.
For more news, listen to Newstalk ZB live on iHeartRadio.